Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
Hi, I'm DKWILL, and this is DK. We'll talk about it.
It's hard to turn your head when you know the White House, the Federal Reserve, the IMF, and central banks are currently involved with Ripple. XRP wants to solve the security crisis in not only this country but worldwide. Ripple's involvement in institutions such as the World Bank, the IMF, the White House, the Federal Reserve, and other central banks is for many evidence of Ripple's growth. Of course, many XRP investors are also hoping for a positive effect on the price.
That was an excerpt from a video I did way back in July of 2021, The Art of War. I'll put the cards along the way for you to check those videos out. But the reason I'm showing this information is because to show how timely that was then and how timely it is now. Yes, many people are hoping the price gets better, but has been a part of a war strategy for a very long time. And recently, Garlinghouse and Adorati Stu, they met with President Trump. And many think that that's a new event. That's something new that occurred. But no, they've been meeting and strategizing for this war for a long time. And it's kind of like a cue, future proves the past. A lot of my videos have been proven to be true. And so I'm gonna show that. And the reason I'm going to show that is because I'm going to end it with a thought that I think is going to occur for those who own XRP. Now, it's just a thought. I'm not a prophet or a soothsayer, and I don't have a crystal ball. But I do have insight. And the insight is reflected in the fact that these videos saw what was coming before it arrived.
August 24th, 2020. This precedes the lawsuit. Records reveal Ripple CEO met with senior Trump administration official in 2018. Are we seeing the trend here, folks? Newly discovered White House records show that the head of Ripple met with senior Trump administration official twice in 2018. We know he met with Clayton. We know he met with Trump. We know he met with senior Trump officials. We know Larson is meeting with Trump. They're meeting with the World Bank. They're meeting with the IMF. They're meeting with the central banks. People, do you really think that when the SEC entered that lawsuit against Ripple, they didn't have a plethora of more information than the little bit I'm sharing here with us right now? Of course they did. There's clearly a lot of homework going on. The White House in particular seems to be thinking about what it means to have 80% of Bitcoin mining taking place in China, and a majority of Ether mining taking place in China. I refer you again to the video. World War III. XRP is the bomb.
Points, and Bitcoin has set multiple all-time record highs because everyone knows that I'm committed to making America the crypto capital. We want to stay at the forefront of everything, and one of them is crypto. And
okay, let's keep going. This article read Garlinghouse met with the White House on 2 different occasions. Was from August 20th, 2020. 2 years ago. Met with Special Assistant to Donald Trump. They're meeting, folks. And on the way out, Jay Clayton throws a lawsuit. To hurt Ripple?
Yeah.
Or is it to help us? U.S. us? That's a question one needs to ask himself.
as far as the currency devaluations. I've been complaining about that for a long time. And I believe that we will all eventually, and probably very much sooner than a lot of people understand or think, we will be all at a level playing field, because that's the only way it's fair. That's the only way that you can fairly compete in trade and other things. And we will be on that field, and we will all be working very hard to do great for our country.
And amongst those other things that getting on that field includes a beginning for XRP with the filings of ETFs with the US SEC now under friendly environments. Of course, Bitwise filed their first Form S1 with the SEC back in October of 2024. And then recently, we've all been aware that Grayscale filed, and it was accepted recently in February 14. And then the SEC acknowledged the ETF filing from Bitwise on the 18th as well. And now the SEC is seeing a surge in XRP ETF filings with 3 applications in 5 days. However, there was a threat. XRP ETF gets approved in Brazil, part of the BRICS nations, and then asks the question: is the U.S. falling behind? Well, we've addressed that, and of course, the U.S. is not going to fall behind in this crypto favorable environment. And so now the SEC has begun reviewing of 2 of the XRP ETF applications as institutional interest in crypto grows, and that there is our point. Institutional interest in crypto grows. That has to be first. They're getting their hands on it, but here's the thing about it. They have to own the asset unless they tie it into indices and performance ETFs. They're going to be scooping up XRP ETF, and more importantly, they're going to want it to perform. And that takes me to where I'm at with this thought that I had that I mentioned in the beginning of what I think is going to eventually happen. For us, we were never the target market for Ripple and XRP. Never. We never were, and we never will be. Their target market is institutional and bigger. And so as a consequence, like President Trump said in one of those clips I showed, they're going to do all the best they can for the country. And they're not going to be able to do good for the country by letting a bunch of XRP sit in the hands of people who have no use for it, only as a speculative instrument. So I think it's going to lead somewhere that most people may not anticipate. And now I'll talk about that.
Because the U.S. is not going to be tricked into losing any type of battle and willingly give up their hegemony of the U.S. dollar. And I have this in front of you because I think this might be one of the outcomes. Remember, national security, right? National security is described as here. National security or national defense is the security and defense of a sovereign state, including its citizens, economy, and institutions, which is regarded as a duty of government. Originally conceived as protection against military attack, national security is widely understood to include also non-military dimensions, including the security from terrorism, minimization of crime, economic security. And so once it becomes a matter of national security, we can find ourselves with an executive order. And if you look up an executive order, you will see that an executive order that we're talking about for gold, it was signed in April 1933 by U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, forbidding the hoarding of gold. Aren't we hoarding our XRP? Gold bullion and gold certificates within the continental U.S. Aren't we the only country isolated from XRP more so than others with this SEC lawsuit? The executive order was made under the authority of the Trading with the Enemy Act of 1917. as amended by the Emergency Banking Act in March of 1933. I hope you can make the parallels on your own, but I'm going to try to talk about them just a little bit because this is DKWILL Talk About It. Isn't XRP much like gold if now Russia is using the on-demand liquidity and the interledger protocol to go around the US dollar? Fortunately, doesn't the US have the company that runs that inside its continental borders? And so, if you'll recall from my videos, if you let everyone willingly take it on and Russia pretend to be the enemy while the ball's in the other court, so that there is an excuse for them to declare that it's systemically important. And now that it's systemically important, they can issue an executive order, and that executive order is you got to sell it. So now you have to sell it. And guess what? We're going to tell you how much it's worth. So we should appreciate those people like that capital group that put in the offer for tens of thousands of dollars, basically telling the government, don't try to snowball us. But I can see, folks, that in this world war that we're in, World War III, I can see the United States government declaring XRP systemically important as a matter of national security. And so consequently, there is an executive order. And that executive order is you have to sell that XRP. You have to get it off of those Ledger Nano S's. You have to give it up.
So it's probably a good thing that Donald Trump is the one who's leveling that playing field, because he promises a golden age. So if that buyback happens, it looks like he might be fair with the American people.
And in his inaugural address, Trump listed his priorities while vowing a golden age for the country, which begins today.
We will not be intimidated. We will not be broken. And we will not fail. From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly. And nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours. And our golden age has just begun.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.